Hello, everybody, and welcome to What the Heck Does That Card Do? Our little show that we have that we like to talk about commanders from Magic the Gathering, past, present, maybe even future, and talk about some of the odd cards, some of the more popular cards that you might find and put into your decks. My name is Josh. I am one of your hosts for this evening, and as you can see, I am joined by a rather lovely person. Introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Chris. I use they, them pronouns. I'm here for the weird cards, baby.
The weird cards. In today's session, we are traveling back, I believe, to Tarkir. I think we've done Tarkir already. Have we? I can't remember.
No.
Have we not?
Maybe.
Bear with me, show
so.
people. This is something that will bug me. I need to know if we've done Tarkir Commanders already.
I don't think we have.
No, we've done Edge of Eternities, and we've done Edge of Eternities. We've done Modern Horizons 3, and we've done Bloom Burrow, and a countless amount of Final Fantasy. So
But
this is
these out of order. Some of these will be out of order. So
some of these will be out of order, but yeah, you'll know that we have these coming if you've not seen them already. Anyway, yes,
spicy.
we are traveling to Tarkir today, and our first commander is the backup commander for the Jeskai, the red, blue, and white precon, and it is Elsha, Threefold Master.
Yes. So what was the main precon commander? Because it's the dragons, isn't it? It's Shiko and Narset.
Shiko and Narset, yeah.
Narset and Shiko.
Yes. Who you'll see in the deck list down below, because I have this deck.
Oh yes, this is one of Josh's terrifying win on turn 4, turn 5 decks. This is true.
I mean, I'm neither going to confirm nor deny that. I have struggled with this deck. I don't know why I bought the precon in the first place. Probably because it was the only one at the time when they went on pre-order that I could actually get hold of. So I was just like, I'll just get that one. And then it turned up and I looked at it and I was like, I don't do spell slingers, isn't my strategy. I'm not saying it's a bad strategy. It's just one that I can't do. And I'm like, I don't know what to do with this. And then I kept trying to do things with it. And then I found that I liked Elsha Threefold Master, who is the commander we're talking about today, to be more my speed, but I was still focusing it on spell slinging and on the prowess side of things. And recently I have tweaked it to focus more on the combat and token generation side of things and the burn side of things, which Elsha unlocks and is more my speed.
It's probably worth saying relatively early on that this deck, obviously, this commander, we should read what Elsha does. Elsha Threefold Master, blue, red, white, legendary Jin Monk, trample, prowess. Whenever Elsha deals combat damage to a player, create that many 1/1 white monk creature tokens with prowess. For those not in the know, prowess means whenever you cast a non-creature spell, this creature gets +1/+1 till end of turn. So obviously, you can build this deck as a spellslinger deck, and we're not saying that you shouldn't build this deck as a spellslinger deck. Frankly, if you like playing Spellslinger, if you like playing lots and lots of instants and sorceries that will all ping up Elsha and all the monks that you make to get a bigger and bigger and bigger board, the EDH page is full of them. There's loads. They're really good. This is not a bad way to play this deck by any stretch. What I think Josh more than me maybe, but I think both of us are kind of focused on permanence here. So a slightly different way of approaching this kind of deck, a prowess deck, if you will.
100%. I have some instants and sorceries in my list for today, and I also have something that's which I'll come to last, which is something unexpected. But I'll go more into that when we come to it at the end. But I'd very much like to.
Well, it's Josh. You own this. Yeah, you kick off. It's your deck. What you got?
Oh, yeah. So the first thing I'm going to do, because this is a combat-focused deck, you think, oh, well, one of the things you can do with it is you can put a lot of equipments in it. So that's what I did. And, you know, with the fact that this also has prowess as well, so any non-creature spell that is cast gives you the +1/+1 buff. So non-creature spells is, you know, your instant sorceries, artifacts, and enchantments, and planeswalkers. So
battles
and anything else that obscure thing that I've not thought of. One thing that I thought that was really good was or something that would be good to put into it would be what are they called? Adventures or omens or anything like that. The ones that you cast them for one thing, they disappear, and then they come back you can call them back at a later turn. So I went with an artifact one. This one is the Horn of Valhalla. So the Horn of Valhalla is a white and 1. If you cast it as an equipment, it is a white and 1, and it has equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each creature you control and has an equipped value of 3, which is really, really good when you are making a ton of monks tokens.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. And then its adventure side is Yizgrad's Call, which is 2 white and X, which is create X 1/1 white soldier creature tokens as a sorcery. Then once you've cast it as the sorcery adventure side, it goes into exile, and then on a later turn you can cast it as the equipment. So that gives you 2 triggers of prowess if you can do it in the same turn. Gives you a ton of tokens if you do cast a sorcery, which then power up your creatures, power up the creature that it is equipped to. So awesome card.
Yeah. I mean, it's adventures are a bit I don't want to because I love the concept, and I had a whole deck, there's a couple of commanders that focus on adventures, and they can be very interesting. The problem is because you have to cast the instant and sorcery, then it goes into exile, and then you cast the other creature from exile. Depending on the makeup of your deck, that's casting 2 spells for 1 cool adventure-based effect, or it might mean that you duplicate other effects. It's a little bit jump through hoops. I think since then, Omen's a good example of redoing this effect and making it a bit cleaner. Plot is a good example of a cleaner version of this effect and that sort of thing. Adventures feels like a very interesting first try. So you've really got to pick and choose between the adventure spells to find the ones that really both sides need to work with your deck strategy, and that's not always easy. So yeah, that's a really good one for this one. I will say as well, it sounds obvious, but the Elsha has trample. So as long as you can find ways to power Elsha up quickly the moment their Elsha comes down. So if you're lucky, you play some kind of rock and get Elsha out on turn 2, 3, and then you're hopefully doing an attack on the next turn after that. If people can block Elsha and kill her, they will. That's just a given. But also, if you can find a way to power Elsha up to even get through 1, 2 damage, because all of the monks also have prowess, it stacks. And it stacks really, really quick, and you're suddenly attacking for very, very large amounts where they have to multi-block Elsha to not make even more monks that cause more problems. So the more you can do to power up Elsha, the better. And as I say, as we said before as well, the EDH rec page is full of ways to make Elsha more powerful quickly. Be that equipment, be that instance and say +3/+0, stuff like that. There is an obvious way to quote unquote build this deck. Yeah, it's right there.
I have another adventure as well that I like to run in the deck, sort of grouping these two together. Which also has a great effect for Elsha, which is Blessed Hippogriff. Blessed Hippogriff is a white and 3, 2/3 flying creature. When you cast it as the creature, it has whenever Blessed Hippogriff attacks, target attacking creature without flying gains flying until end of turn, which is fantastic for Elsha.
Yeah, bit of evasion.
Yep. And then the instant adventure side for it is Tyr's Blessing. Target creature gains indestructible until end of turn. So if you've got this card in your hand and you know Elsha's about to get killed, you can, through Death Touch or whatever, as your opponent plays a pump spell to pump their creature up to be able to kill Elsha, you make Elsha indestructible. And then you can cast this later on to give Elsha evasion. Those 2 cards in this deck have helped so much with keeping either Elsha alive or making sure that she hits very hard.
Absolutely. While we're here, I'm going to talk about some instants and sorceries too, because this is obviously where we're starting, and that process of how to give Elsha that early pump. There's a whole group of cards. They tend to be called Tormenting Voices because the first one of these was called Tormenting Voice. There's a spell called Rummaging. What you do is you have to discard a card either as part of casting the spell, or it's the first thing you do before something else happens, and usually you're discarding to draw. Red, it's a red ability. It's Red's way of getting card draw outside of exiling cards you can play on later turns. And rummaging effects like this, and Tormenting Voice being the first one, are very, very popular, very, very common. And because they are such a popular and common effect, they are one of the effects that WotC likes to reprint a lot. So you can get a lot of cards that do a very similar thing. Like, just for clarity, I'm not recommending this card. Tormenting Voice is 1 and a red. It's a sorcery. As additional cost, to cast this spell, discard a card, draw 2 cards. So that's your classic Tormenting Voice. That's the classic effect that you'll get off this. And obviously, over time, power creep happens. And as power creep happens and this effect gets repeated over and over again, they make better versions of this that work in slightly better ways. The one I'm recommending is one that seems to have fallen under the radar a bit. People don't talk about it that much. And for my money, it is one of the best ones of this effect that's come up recently that does everything you want plus. It's from Bloomborough, and it's called Sazakap's Brew. Might be the reason why people don't remember it. It's not the most catchy name. And also, its text box is an absolute friggin' disaster. So,
oh, yeah.
Sazakap's Brew, 1 and a red, instant. Gift a tapped fish. You may promise an opponent a gift as part of casting this spell. If you do, they create a tapped 1/1 blue fish creature token before its other effects. As additional cost to cast this spell, discard a card. Target player draws 2 cards. If the gift was promised, target creature you control gets +2/+0 until end of turn. Let me just break through that mess of words for you. It's 1 and a red, like a classic Tormenting Voice or a classic Thrill of Possibility. These are all the same effect, basically. As additional cost to cast this spell, discard a card. Target player draws 2 cards. The target player is you. It's the same effect we talked about earlier. It's the same thing. Plus, it has additional benefit. If you gift someone a tapped 1/1, which at this point it doesn't do anything unless they've got certain things on the board that mean that's really, really bad. You can do this gratis because your commander has trample. Yeah. It doesn't matter. Giving them a 1/1 is an irrelevance to you.
It's tapped anyway, so they can't block with it.
No, but on later turns. It's not an issue on later turns, you know what I mean?
Plus, there's 3 other people that you're going up against, so you can give it to somebody you're not planning to attack.
This is also true. If the gift was promised, so if you give them a tap 1/1, target creature, Elsha, gets +2/+0 till end of turn for 2 mana. For 2 mana, you are getting rid of some cards out of your hand that you don't need. You're drawing new ones, which is always good, and you're buffing your commander for that swing that you will inevitably be doing this turn. Yeah. Which means that this is basically a bread and butter red card, but it is the best version of this bread and butter red card for your commander. They did one in Wilds of Eldraine that I cannot remember the name of, that was at sorcery speed, that also gave a creature trample. We gave it a roll that gave it trample, as far as I recall. And that one was useless because it's a sorcery speed. This you can do at instant speed. This you can do as a combat trick after you've declared attackers. And the instant speedness of it is why Thrill of Possibility is so popular and why Tormenting Voice has fallen by the wayside, because that's sorcery speed. So yeah, it's always worth. In fact, this is just a general note. If you see there's a certain kind of card that you seem to see 1,000 copies of because Magic seems to love the effect and redo it for limited formats, they have to power creep it. Every time they reprint it, it has to be slightly better, slightly different, slight tweak on it. And you will inevitably end up with versions of effects that are just slightly better to a point where why would you play any of the older versions of this card in Commander especially? Because it's an eternal format, you can play what you want. So yes, I would keep an eye out for stuff like that. The removal spells is a classic one for this. Like, oh, we need to print a new version of a classic removal spell. Let's make it slightly cheaper. Let's make it slightly better. Let's make it work in a slightly different way. You will find hundreds of these. So it's always worth looking in when you're looking through new sets for, I'm sure I've seen that card's text before. Oh, I have, but this one is at instant speed. This one also gives you a little boost. Like, yeah, but this one's perfect for Elsha specifically.
The thing I should point out with this card as well is it's not giving you that +2/+0 until end of turn because Elsha's got prowess. So it's giving you +3/+1 until end of turn, technically. So it's even better.
Crazy, just crazy at this point.
And it's also given +1 to any other +1/+1 to any other monks or anything else on your board that you have that has prowess.
Yeah.
So it's really good.
Because it's so cheap and because it's a discard draw effect, I would be playing it earlier. I'd be basically trying to get Elsha out and then play this on the first attack, because chances are by that point you know how your land draw is going. And you know if you need to discard some cards to draw some lands, maybe.
Yeah. Speaking of one of the things that Chris mentioned a moment ago was removal. This is one of those decks where Elsha is one of the important cogs for the deck. The point of it is to get a lot of monks on the board and either swing out with the monks, or because you're making tokens, burn your opponents with things like impact tremors and other things like that that do that sort of damage when creatures come in and all of that sort of stuff. So you need to be able to protect Elsha in ways. So my next card is called Divine Resilience, which costs a single white, and it had it, but for an additional white and 2, you can kick it, and it says target creature you control gains indestructible until end of turn. If this spell was kicked, instead any number of target creatures you control gain indestructible until end of turn. Now, the first thing that people are going to say now that I've just read this card out is, why aren't you just running Boros Charm? Because Boros Charm is a red and white that has a different effects. One of those is all of your creatures gain indestructible to end of turn, and it's just a 2-cost card. This card costs a hell of a lot less than what Boros does in terms of money, because this is currently sitting at 14 cents. 10p you can get it for, whereas Boros Charm is like £5 or higher, I think, at this point. And it has the flexibility for you to either protect Elsha if you're just swinging with Elsha, or protect your entire board from a board wipe that is destroying creatures rather than exiling them. So I find this is a very good as a utility, a cheap money-wise utility card and mana-wise.
Game-wise, it's worth saying that Destroy used to be the most common removal type you would see. Destroy target creature off murder being the classic removal piece. These days, you'll tend to see more Exile removal than you will Destroy removal. Board wipes, unless people are playing like Farewell, and if they're that kind of asshole, board wipes tend to say Destroy over Exile. If they say Exile, they're particularly brutal board wipes, and you are within rights to be cross. But Indestructible has kind of lost its luster, its veneer, if you will, because it doesn't really protect in the way that it used to, unless you are constantly going to combat. And this deck is all about that combat, baby. Yes. So you having Indestructible means that if you're attacking with, who knows, 7 1/1s that you've made 3 1s, because Promise is just +1/+0, isn't it? It's not plus +1/+1. Okay, so you've made a couple of Prowess triggers, but they're all 3/3s. But if someone's got a board with a couple of 3/3s on it, you'll lose 2 monks, and that's bad. If you're going to lose things over time, especially in a 4-player game where there's lots and lots of different defending creatures, people will have defenders for days. You have to accept this in Magic. Making tokens, making little creatures, filling your board is not difficult. Your job with Elsha is not going to be, how do I make sure I overrun them? It's going to be, how do I make sure I keep my board after everyone 1 player to get the other 2? So Indestructible effects are actually fantastic in this, because you will keep your board unless someone's playing Exile removal on a large group of things, which you won't see that often. And frankly, if you do, chances are they're exiling the entire board and everyone's board. So start again. Everyone's starting again at that point. All they've done is lengthen the game. I was going to recommend Unbreakable Formation, which is basically the same thing. It's a 2 and a white instant. Creatures you control get indestructible till end of turn.
Yeah, I love this card so much, because it gives you that flex. Oh, sorry, carry on. If you cast this spell during your main phase, put a 1/1 counter on each of those creatures, and they gain vigilance till end of turn as well. That's why I love that card. Exactly like the one you were saying, Josh. Like it's just, these are just good effects to have in this deck, because you can use them as combat traits to go, I'm keeping my board. You can use them in response to destroy board wipes to keep your board. You can use them on your main phase to give you extra benefit. Like, I will say Unbreakable Formation used to be in pretty much every white deck, because white likes to make lots of tokens. So it used to be a really, really popular card, and you'd see it a lot. And it's really fallen off with all the Exile removal that's come in, because it used to be useful as well as like a Commander Savior. Yeah. This ain't that. These effects are not that. You want to give things hexproof, frankly, and there are many ways to do that. There are so many cards that say give target creature hexproof till end of turn, or God knows what else, and I tend to run quite a few of those these days, because that's the way the game's gone. But if your commander's that important, you know. Yeah. But this one and the one Josh said, these are both great examples of just really easy ways to protect your quite fragile board state that you really need in this deck to punch through combat damage. If you're to win through combat damage, which you don't need to, is obviously goal number 1. Exactly.
Is that fair? I think that's fair.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, Unbreakable Formation, I believe, is in my deck list. If not, it should be.
It used to be in every precon. It used to be just the white weenies are making a big board, and they'd go, put an Unbreakable Formation because it's so useful to keep your board in a bad combat step.
Yeah.
While I'm here, I'm also going to recommend Magmatic Chasm for a very similar reason. You need to get in combat damage. This is a 1 and a red sorcery. Creatures without flying can't block this turn. Real simple, gives everything +1/+1 on your board because of prowess, and it also means that if people haven't got any flyers, you can out of nowhere suddenly alpha strike them. If you're looking at combat damage and ways to make more monks, also you'll make a ton of monks off this.
Yeah.
The ability to make more monks, hit more people with monks, to make more monks, to make them bigger, etc. Things that can't block this turn are very good, and red is full of effects like this. This is a sorcery speed one, but it's very clean. So that's my recommendation on that one.
100%. My next card is moving more into enchantment territory, and this one came out in Aether Drift, or Ether Drift, however you want to say it. I say Aether Drift because of our Chronicles of Aether series. Yes, and this came in the zombie precon. I can't remember for the life of me what it was called, but I do love that precon. This is Renewed Solidarity. Temet, yeah. I can't remember what the precon's called though. But Renewed Solidarity is an enchantment. It costs a white and 2. As this enchantment enters, choose a creature type. Creatures you control of the chosen type get +1/+0. At the beginning of your end step, for each token you control of the chosen type that entered this turn, create a token that's a copy of it. So Elsha's just made 3 monks at the end during combat. After dealing combat damage, is now made 3 monks, and then during the end step you get another 3.
This card is so good, and when the precon came out, I looked at it and went, God, I can think of about 5, I've got a lot of decks, 5 of my various, make a ton of 1/1s that would die for this. It's such a good effect. It's never gone under 4 or 5 quid. It's always stuck at about 4 or 5 quid, so I can't justify that. I don't like spending more than about £2-3 on a card max, because for me, that's well, if you can outspend your opponent, congratulations, you've outspent your opponent. But it's crazy. It's such modern pushed magic. It just takes the classic token strategy and goes, but what if pluses and double and just draw cards and better? It's everything.
There's a strategy that I do want to try with this deck that could work in this deck because of the colors, but I'd love to do it with him as an alternative commander in a different for a different deck, and it's Jolly Balloon Man. Because you just announce balloons, and then whatever you make a balloon copy of, you get at the end during the end step as well, and then you get the ETB effects again. And I think that's just a really cool idea that I haven't done yet because I've only got 1 copy of this and I want it in this deck.
I imagine that Jolly Balloon Man decks play Renewed Solidarity pretty high up. Just an assumption, but I imagine it's quite high on the EDH rec page.
Yeah, I reckon so. I've not looked, but I saw it, and I sort of put 2 and 2 together, and I was like, I'd love to try that someday. I don't know if I ever will, but I'd love to.
Yeah. Right. I'm going to go down a slightly different route now. So we've talked about tokens and pushing through combat damage and the rest of it. Let's talk about card draw, because you're going to need to draw cards in this deck. If you are playing, I think most spell singers do this. If you're playing a lot of instants and sorceries, then you will run out of cards very quickly. So having a surefire way to casually draw every turn is always a good thing. And I think I'm preaching to the converted of Josh here, because Josh and I both play this card in every token deck that we own. It's Idol of Oblivion.
Oh yeah, 100%.
It is a 2 mana artifact. Tap, draw a card, activate only if you created a token this turn. And for 8 and tap, sack this artifact, create a 10/10 Eldrazi. Don't do that, you never need that.
Why?
Point is, if you are playing a deck that makes any kind of token, slap this in. Because every turn that you make a token, which should be every turn, you're a tokens deck, you can draw a card. And it's just a single card draw every turn, which means that You draw cards start every turn, but you want to be playing a land and playing a spell every turn, so you will run out of cards if you don't draw at least one extra card a turn. This is a better, cheaper, less damaging Phyrexian Arena. It's just every tokens deck you should be playing this. This is not a debate.
I keep forgetting that it has that 8 mana ability underneath. I just see it as my card draw ability in a tokens deck. I keep forgetting about that. I've never used it.
No, I've never used.
I've
making a deck right now where it might be good. Yeah.
I've seen it get used, and then I looked, my brother did it and used it, and I looked at him and went, why? And he went, 10-10. And I went, but card draw? You'd have no need for that 10-10.
10-10 with no keywords. It's just a big 10-10.
Yeah. I hit you with 10-10. It doesn't have trample.
It's also summoning sick. Yeah, it's just... Yeah. Anyway, it's also it's a non-creature spell, so it triggers prowess. You're welcome.
My next card, it's a sorcery, and I was wondering about whether I should have it on the list and whether it should actually be in the deck or not, because it was one of those cards that I've had in the deck since I got the precon, and I added some extra cards in it because it doesn't come in the precon, and it was on the chopping block to come out until I used it in a game recently. And yeah, one of the things with this deck that we've mentioned is that Elsha is the engine of it. If Elsha gets taken out and is put into the command zone, same with any commander deck, you need a way. You need to have a way that your deck can function without your commander. Big thing that I've sort of been on trying to, when I make decks now, trying to find ways for the deck to work without the commander if the commander is in the command zone or gets stolen. This card is Teleportal.
Yes.
Teleportal costs a blue and red for a sorcery. It says target creature you control gets +1/+0 until end of turn and can't be blocked this turn. However, it does have overload of a blue, red, and 3. So when you overload it, if you cast this spell for its overload cost, if you do, change target in its text to each. So every creature gets a +1/+0 and becomes unblockable. I did this in the game recently where I had 13 monks on the board. Both of my opponents had 13 and 14 life respectively. I cast this. They got the +1/+0 from the overload of this spell, and then they got +1/+1 because all of them were monks. So the monks were 3 2s, swinging. They were slightly larger than that because I'd played another spell before then, but I then just swung out for game. So it's a brilliant game ender, but you can also use it early game just to target Elsha, to get Elsha in there. So it's another one of those. You can do it for the whole board, you can do it just for Elsha. I think it was. So yes, it's staying in my deck, and I'm very much enjoying having it in there. It's just a random card I pulled out of a pack when I first started collecting cards, and I never had anywhere to put it.
It's a cracking finisher. I think it's because it's a lot of multicolored cards, the cards that, especially 3-colored cards, but 2-colored cards in particular, you look like, oh, this will be great. I'll pop it in that deck. It'll be fantastic. And you look at all of your decks and go, how many red and blue token decks do I have? That red and blue, like red makes goblin tokens often, and you have a lot of red goblin decks. They very rarely have blue in them. Blue decks can make tokens. It's not common, but you can have blue token decks, but they tend to focus on flying, so you don't need this effect. So you look at it and go, where would I actually use this? The answer is in a Jeskai deck where you're making white tokens, which is a weird thing to think about because, like, goblin decks don't tend to have blue in them, so you wouldn't bother. And also, goblins, you tend to make so many goblins that it doesn't matter if they're +2 or +3. It's irrelevant. But when you're making white things with prowess, like, white decks struggle with exactly this kind of overrun style effect. So Jeskai's the perfect place for this, but you wouldn't play it anywhere else. It's not. It's a classic Ravnica card, if you will. It's a Ravnica City of Guilds card, I think. It's designed entirely for an archetype that you probably won't need until 3-4 years from now. Yeah, it's very cool. And I love that it's multi-purpose too. Play it early to get Elsha through to get a couple of monks, get one monks the ball, get the ball rolling, or play it late as a finisher to just wipe the board.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, fantastic. What's your next card? I have one more set of cards to talk about, so it'll be like 3 cards in a row I'll talk about. So,
right. Well, I've got a class of cards, and then I've got something completely different.
We'll
so
go
I'll go
through
with the
all
class
of them
of
then.
cards first. Right. So we've mentioned Impact Tremors already. It's very high on the EDH rec page, as it should be. Impact Tremors is an effect. I don't have the card in front of me. Basically, whenever a creature enters, it does 1 damage to someone or to everybody.
Each opponent.
Something like that. There we go. That effect, they're known as Impact Tremors because that's what the name of the card is. That effect in a deck where you're making lots of tokens is good. Everyone knows this. It's a good effect. It does what you need it to do. It's also, if you have this deck and you play Impact Tremors, watch it get removed so fast. Because everyone knows that if it stays on the board, they're toast. They know this is the end of days. You are not going to be able to keep your Impact Tremors effect. The best way to keep it is to play multiple copies of the Impact Tremors effect. And there are many copies of Impact Tremors effects these days. Modern Horizons 3 gave us Molten Gatekeeper for 2 and a red. It's a creature, it's a golem. Whenever another creature you control enters, this creature deals 1 damage to each opponent. And Witty Roastmaster, which is from Streets of New Competitor, 2 and a red. It's a creature, Devil Citizen. Whenever another creature you control enters, the creature does 1 damage to each opponent. They're the same effect. These cards are very good. They're great in a deck like this. If you are already putting Impact Tremors style effects in the deck, and if you put in more than 1 Impact Tremors style effect, it's worth putting these 2 in because they also have the same effect, but Molten Gatekeeper in particular. And I will explain for why. Because Molten Gatekeeper has another line of text. It also has Unearth for a single red mana. Unearth means, for a single red mana, return this card from your graveyard to the battlefield. It gains haste, exiled at the beginning of the next end step, or if it would leave the battlefield, Unearth only as a sorcery. Why this is particularly good is that if someone is out there pinging off your burn effects, which is just a burn effect, if someone is out there getting rid of the effects that are allowing you to do what you do, this one, if they ping it, you can spend a single red mana to bring it back again. This is not limited by when it was pinged. It could have happened the turn before, it could happen the turn later. It almost doesn't matter. You can also do it as a sorcery before combat. So if you have, let's say you've got 1 of these effects out, 2 of these effects out, and 1's a Molten Gatekeeper, and you're about to go to combat, Elsha's going to swing and do 5 damage to Bill over there. And Josh is going, well, obviously, if you do 5 damage to Bill, we're all going to take 15 damage as 5 monks enter, because there's 3 of these effects on the board. We're not having that. Talks to the other 2 players. Bill, you hit that one with your thing. I'll hit this one with this thing. We've all got different types of removal. We'll get rid of all of them. And you go, that's fine. And you let them. And you watch them destroy this thing that you've carefully built up. And you go, that's fine. That's all good. And then you unearth this one and they've run out of removal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's repeatable. Having a version of this effect that is repeatable is the real nuts. It's the thing that makes this one a Modern Horizons 3 card. Modern Horizons sets are designed to break the game. And this is the one that's breaking the game here. It's unfortunately a creature because you don't get to trigger prowess, but this is by far the best version of this effect, in my book.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I think that's a brilliant card to have in there. What was the other card that you had that wasn't part of that list?
No, I've got 4 legendary creatures that don't trigger prowess and therefore shouldn't work, but they do.
Go over them then.
Are you sure? Okay.
Yeah. Mine things are all sort of a group of cards. So
okay,
go for it.
Right. I will go through these quickly. These are legendary creatures that, frankly, if you weren't playing Elsha, would also be a good backup commander. So it's worth considering. They're not all the right colours, so it doesn't quite work. But these are great creatures. Even though they're creatures and don't trigger prowess, they have so many awesome effects on what you're doing that it's really worth considering them.
Yeah.
So first is Aragorn, King of Gondor, 1 and a Jeskai. Right. He's a legendary human noble. He has vigilance and lifelink. And whenever he enters, you become the monarch. And whenever he attacks, up to one target creature can't block this turn. If you're the monarch, creatures can't block this turn. You're attacking a lot. Elsha has trample. You're going to be able to take the monarch. If you're lucky and you can keep it, because people will attack you to get it, that is just the way the monarch works. It gets passed around like a hotcake. If you have it on your turn, you win, because creatures can't block. You can attack everyone and they can't block you, and therefore Elsha won't get blocked, therefore you will make more. If Aragorn's on your team and he attacks, up to one target creature can't block this turn, you can stop the thing blocking that will block Elsha, or will block the board and kill something on your board. Also a useful effect. He has vigilance and lifelink, so he's always a defender. So if you can hang on to the monarchy, he's going to be able to hold on to it for a bit. Lifelink's a useful ability, and the monarch means that if you have the monarch, if you attack someone and take the monarchy off them, on your end step you draw another card. Now, I'm fully anticipating that on the next turn someone will attack you and take the monarchy off you so they can draw an extra card. That's how the monarchy works.
But you have a shit ton of monks to defend you as well.
Yeah, well, you're probably attacking with them, but yes, this is a good effect. It is a good effect on a Jeskai creature doing a thing that you don't not want. So that's a good reason to play it, number one. Number two, Zinnia, Valley's Voice, is a Jeskai, just blue, red, and white, nothing else. Commander from Bloomborough. It's a bird bard. It's a very cool bit of design. It's a flying 1/3. It gets +X+O, where X is the number of other creatures you control with base power 1. For clarity, what that means is that all of your monks, if they get any kind of benefit off prowess and not 1/1 counters, their base power is 1. But even off counters, their base power is still 1. They are 1/1s. Therefore, Zinnia's power will always be increased by +X+O. X is the number of monks you control. Or frankly, Elsha's a 1/1 as well. So you have the ability to get flying damage in on top of everything else, and it just gets bigger based on the number of monks that you have made. It's a bit win-more-y. It's not the most if you play this and you're not winning, you're not going to suddenly start winning off it. But if you are already doing quite well, this might be enough to push you over the edge. Zinnia also says creature spells you cast have offspring 2. Other creatures in your deck, you may pay an additional 2 as you cast a creature spell. If you do, when the creature enters, make a 1/1 token copy of it. Now, you're not casting the monks, and if you do it to a legendary creature, the copy goes away because they've got the same name, legendary rule. But if you have other creatures in the deck that are valuable, like say a Molten Gatekeeper, you can make token copies of the Molten Gatekeeper, and then that effect will have yeah, exactly.
the other thing with Zinnia as well, and Aragorn, and probably the other two legendaries that you're going to speak about, but Zinnia is a perfect example of this, is something that we've spoken about in nearly every other video that we've said. These are cards that are additional targets. So when they're on the board, your opponent has to go, do I let this bird bard swing at me for 11 damage because they've got 10 monks on the board, or do I take out the thing that's generating the monks? Which one do I take out?
It's interesting as well because people get they see an engine and they see a threat, and they think I must spend the removal on the threat, where the engine's the actual problem, because the engine is the thing that's allowing them to make the threat a threat. So they'll go, get rid of the threat. And you go, cool, now I'll play something else. And the threat is still, there's a new threat, but the engine's still running perfectly well in the background. You can often tell when you're playing at someone with a bit more experience, they shoot the engine and you go, I see. Okay. Now, you can't play these other two as commanders in the deck because they're missing a color, but they are so good in the deck. Arabella Abandoned Doll is a red and a white artifact creature. Toy. Whenever Arabella attacks, it deals X damage to each opponent and you gain X life, where X is the number of creatures you control with power 2 or less. It's Zinnia's effect, but it's burn damage instead of actual combat damage, and it's also life gain. Life gain doesn't win games. Life gain is a great way of surviving games, but if you have 10 monks on the board and you're attacking and doing 10 damage before combat's even started, things are going your way. A bit win-more-y as well, but yes, it is. I love this card. It's in a lot of token decks for me, and it's really cheap. I don't know why. It's really good. 30p at the moment. And the
I
last
think it's
one,
because it doesn't have haste.
I'm gonna say,
it's the thing that it has to attack. I think that's the thing.
Well, that's easily negatable. And also, you just put it on the board and everyone goes, ah.
Yeah.
It works very well, as Josh said, as a rattlesnake to be able to go, this is the thing I must deal with first. The last one. And I'm going to put my neck out a bit on this one. I think this card is hideously underplayed. I think it's crazy that it's underplayed because it's insanely good. I've put it in a lot of decks now. A lot of decks it's in now because it's so good. And I reckon that people don't play it because it's a little bit... it does the Universes Beyond thing, where people think, oh, is it really magic-y enough? It doesn't feel very magic-y. Overseer of Vault 76 from the Fallout set is a 2 and a white legendary human advisor. When the Overseer of Vault 76 or another creature you control with power 3 or less enters, put a quest counter on Overseer of Vault 76. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you may remove 3 quest counters from among permanents you control. When you do, put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control and they gain vigilance until end of turn. This card is grotesque. It doesn't sound like much. Get quest counters, they turn into 1/1 counters. It's a 1/1 counter on each creature you control, which means when you make a metric ton of monks, every single one of them puts a quest counter on the Overseer. You will have enough counters on her that every turn at the start of combat, you are putting a 1/1 counter on every creature you control and giving them all vigilance. In a go wide strategy, which is what this is really playing towards, that means that as long as you have a way of making the tokens that you need to go wide, you now have a way at the start of every combat to make them all bigger and to make them all defenders for your entire next turn.
Yeah.
As long as your engine is running, as long as you have a way to keep making the creatures that you need, you will keep putting the quest counters on, and you will keep getting a +1/+1 counter on everything every turn. And you will keep giving everything vigilance every turn, so the board gets wider and wider, and they're all still blockers. It's... In a recent game with Josh, I was playing it in a different deck. Doesn't matter which deck. But I was making enough tokens every turn because I had the ability to make as many tokens as I needed using spending a mana to make a token effectively. That I was effectively making enough tokens to get enough quest counters, to trigger it every turn, to put counters on everything, to then have a great combat step that Josh couldn't answer. Because every time was, well, if I swing back, you've now got 6 2/2s on the board, so anything I attack with, you can multi-block and kill. So There's no way out of this, because next turn it's going to be 9 3/3s, because this will keep happening, and it's not going to get, the board's not going to get any small. The only way to stop it is to either remove the Overseer or to board wipe. And it's so, as a white weenie, make the small tokens, fill it with stuff, it is the perfect, it's also on curve, it's 3 mana. By this point, you've either played your commander or you're about to. The Overseer sees itself, so it gets its first quest counter immediately. If your commander's power 3 or less, that gets your other counter immediately. You're off to the races before it's even really started to go. It's so good.
It was.
I cannot recommend this card enough.
It was during that particular game I'd said to Chris that I had a an Overseer of Vault 76 that I'd recently taken out of my Ratadravit deck, which I've now taken apart and made into another deck. And I said to Chris, I don't know what to do with this card because I want to put it in a deck where I can make a lot of tokens at once rather than just the odd card, because I was thinking about putting it into my Squall deck at one point, but Squall was just too slow for it, for what I wanted this to do. And then during the game, Chris just went, Elsha. And I was like, why did you randomly just say the name Elsha while we're playing a game? He's like, why don't you just put Overseer of Vault 76 into Elsha? And then Chris laughed because you could literally see the cogs turning in my brain. And I just went, oh, that's an amazing idea.
If you are playing a creature a turn and they're low power creatures, and if you are making 2 tokens a turn, which you should be doing in any tokens deck, you have done it.
Yeah.
That's all it takes. So in any deck that makes tokens where you're making presumably 1 or 2 a turn at least, you're golden. You're fine. Like, this is in my Ratadravit deck and it's disgusting. It's
Yeah.
just great.
It's fantastic.
Especially as a matter of Dragon, you make token copies of legendary creatures, so then there's multiples of these on the board that all see each other, so that if a token comes in, they all get quest counters, all the quest counters come off, everything gets +1/+1 times 3 or 4, so everything gets +4/+4 and vigilance.
Yeah. So
Anyway, that's my last recommendation for Elsha, a deck I do not own and frequently get pummeled by. I look forward to it once more.
So my last sort of set of cards, one of the things with moving more into a combat-y style deck was that I could quite easily just make this. I didn't want to do enchantment auras because Elsha becomes a big target very quickly. And as soon as you lose those auras, you've lost them permanently. The other option was I could make it an equipment deck, which there are some equipments in the deck, but I didn't want to focus on equipments because I have loads of those and I didn't want another one because it would mean I'd have to take some of the good equipments out of the other decks to make this one viable, as it were. So I was like, what is that? And I wanted to do something unique. And I was thinking to myself, what can I do with Elsha that is different? And then I came across the mutate cards.
I don't understand mutate. I've tried. I don't get it.
Mutate in and of itself is there's a couple of legendary creatures that you can have that mutate. Mutate decks are confusing as all hell to me, but having a couple of them spread out throughout decks is really cool. The thing that I also like about this is because I'm in blue and red, I run a lot of copy spells. Like I've got Chameleon and I've got Go-Go in my Elsha deck, so I can copy Elsha's abilities. If Elsha is also mutated or has either has a mutate creature underneath or above, I'll go over what it all does in a moment. Because that's all one creature, Chameleon and Go-Go become a full copy, so they get all of the effects of all of the mutates that are there.
Yeah.
So I've got about 8 or 9. They're all in the deck list down below. Mutate cards that are in the deck, but there are 3 in particular that I wanted to highlight. The first, which is the one that actually drew me to looking at mutate properly for this deck, was Vadrok Apex of Thunder. They are a blue, red, and white elemental dinosaur cat, and they're a 3/3. So what mutate does, I can cast it for its mutate cost, which isn't the 3 mana. Instead, it costs 4 mana. It's 2 red, my choice of white and blue, and then 1 generic mana. And it says, if you cast this spell for its mutate cost, put it over or under target non-human creature you own. They mutate into the creature on top, plus all abilities from under it. So this particular one, Vadrok, has got flying and first strike, and it's 3/3. So if you put this over Elsha, Elsha instantly becomes Vadrok and is a 3/3 with flying and first strike. If you put it underneath, then it just gets flying first strike and the effect that I'm going to read now. Doesn't become a 3/3. So the effect is, whenever this creature mutates, you may cast target non-creature card with converted mana cost 3 or less from your graveyard without paying its mana cost. So not only are you mutating this onto Elsha, you're also getting to cast one of your instant sorceries, artifacts, or enchantments that are 3 or less from your graveyard for free, which then triggers prowess on Elsha. And the thing with mutate as well is, if Elsha doesn't have summoning sickness, when you mutate onto Elsha or underneath Elsha, the new creature that's formed from the mutate also doesn't have summoning sickness because it's the same creature.
I just... There's a reason this mechanic was widely decried as pants, because it was so complicated and no one understood it. Like, I'm not saying that what you said is wrong. It's probably right, but I do not understand it. When you play a mutate card, you tell me what it does and I say, okay. That's all I can do, because I have read everything I can to try and understand mutate, and I still don't get it. Because surely, if you mutate, if you're playing, say, Vadrok, right? If you play Vadrok, but you play its mutate cost, you are mixing Vadrok and Elsha together.
Yes.
But one of them's on top. And the one that's on top has the text box And the one that's on the bottom, no. I don't understand.
It's fine.
I just don't get it.
It is very confusing. So it is known as the creature that's on the top, and it has the power and toughness of that creature, and it has its types and subtypes.
Right.
And then it also has all of the abilities of the creature that is underneath it as well as its own abilities.
So it gains an extra text box, but it maintains its power, toughness, and its creature types.
Basically, yes.
So you want to keep Elsha's text box?
Yeah, but it doesn't matter if Elsha is still Elsha. You keep the trample prowess and the ability to make monks, but you're now Vadrok, who is now flying first strike and casts a card that's also a 3/3. So when you attack with it, you're making 3 monks instead of 1. Or 4, because you would have cast a non-creature card from your graveyard. Yeah. I know, it's confusing.
So what you're saying, have I just cracked mutate? Hang on. So what mutate means is that when you pay a card's mutate cost, you smoosh it with another creature that you own, but you're deciding which power, toughness, and creature types and name, which might be important, you keep, and everything else is just a big long extended text box.
Basically, yeah.
Right. I do understand that.
Yeah.
Either way, right, one piece of removal kills everything.
Yes, one piece of removal does kill everything, yes,
okay.
but hey, anyway, the next one that I have is also another mutate cost. This is Dream
How is this better than enchantments again?
Because it powers up Elsha, you know. But yeah, anyway, Dreamtail Heron.
It's like an enchantment. If you kill it, it's gone.
Yes, that is true. If you kill it, it is gone. But I didn't want to make equipment, right? And I didn't want to do enchantment aura.
It's a really, really complicated way of casting an enchantment aura. That's all it is. That's basically all it's doing. That's what we're saying. Okay.
Basically, yeah.
Get it now.
The next one is Dreamtail Heron, which is a blue and 4 elemental bird. It has a mutate cost of blue and 3. It has flying. It's a 3/4, and it says whenever this creature mutates, draw a card.
So hang on, is mutate just a better version of bestow?
Yeah, I reckon so. Yeah, because bestow does the same thing, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Basically, bestow is either a creature or you can cast it as an aura on something, and then it has the creature's abilities, basically.
Yeah, but mutate, you can mutate onto, like I had the game that I was talking about earlier, I had Elsha on the board with 2 mutate creatures on top of, well, one on top, one underneath of Elsha, and you can keep doing that. And every time the other one, the creature that Elsha was a creature called Volakit, which is a flying fox version. Has flying as well, and it says whenever it mutates, put a +1/+1 counter on it. So I mutated an octopus underneath because I have an octopus that mutates as well. That says whenever I deal combat damage, draw a card. And Elsha had 2 1/1 counters. So I was like, yeah, there's some really good synergies with that. And with this as well, with this Dreamtail Heron, whenever this creature mutates, draw a card. If you're putting more mutate creatures on top of it, then you're drawing cards. Card advantage is always good. But then the last card is a game ender. And I used this game ender against Chris in the game where I showed Chris that I had mutate cards in the deck.
Yep.
This is Regal Leosaur. This is a dinosaur cat. Artwork looks awesome. It's a, if you want to cast it as a creature, it's a white and red. But if you want to mutate it, it's got hybrid mana, so either 2 red, 2 white, or combination, and 1. And it's a 2/2 creature, and it has, whenever this creature mutates, other creatures you control get +2/+1 until end of turn, with all of those monks on the board. Yes, I did that against Chris. It was the only mutate card that I played against Chris when we did that. And when I showed Chris that I had mutate, and then I won the game because I then just swung out.
I just nodded and went, "Is that what that does?" Okay, because now that you've explained it, why is it not just an enchantment creature that can become an enchantment? Because that they already had that. Bestow existed.
I don't think you can bestow more than once. I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know which one's older, mutate or bestow. I'll do the research beforehand and then come back to the audience as to which one's the older one.
Bestow's older. I know Bestow's older. It's from Theros.
Oh, there we go then. Yeah, because this one's from Ikoria.
Why did they feel the need? Why did they feel the need to make a whole set based on a thing they had already done, but except their creatures with a new keyword? I suppose. Okay, interesting. Surely there's edge case 6, and if everything's got the same massive text box, and you're making one gigantic text box, you could potentially have a situation where. Okay, so if I played, because I don't have a Deadpool deck, but I've got Deadpool in a deck because I bought the Secret Lair. If I'm replacing the text box, that's not enchantments that are on the creature. I replace the entire mutated creature's text box.
Because it's one creature, yeah.
For example.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. I see. So there are edge cases where it is different. I understand.
Yeah, but the thing as well is some of these mutate creatures are not legendary. So if you mutate, say, the Dreamtail on top of Elsha, Elsha is no longer legendary. So then you play something Replicate. What's that one?
Right of Replication.
Right of Replication, and you kick it. You make 5 more exact copies of Elsha and that thing.
So you could, if you were thus inclined, use mutate as a way to make non-legendary commanders to copy. I see why deck brewers like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand. Okay.
But yes, and that's why and it was a unique thing that neither of us have done. Nobody else I know that I play Magic with use mutate cards. So I was like, I'm going to do that. So it seemed fun, and it is actually improved my enjoyment of the deck quite a lot, because I'm like, mutate. I mutate. It's just really fun.
It's exciting, because it's interesting and different. Yeah, because it's interesting and different. Like, there are reasons. One of the good reasons to play cards is because they're different. Because someone will play and go, ooh, like, you know, there's a reason. What the heck does this card do? Is the name of this podcast, because what you want is that kind of oh, interesting. You're doing something a little bit different. That's nice. Like, yeah, absolutely. Totally.
Yeah. Right. Well, that's Elsha Threefold Master. Let us know in the comments down below what cards you'd recommend for Elsha. In fact, even if you play this deck and you run it more as a Spellslinger style deck, let us know what types of spells you run in the deck. This deck can be played in many different ways. This is just the way that this is the way that I play the deck, and Chris knows that I play the deck. So that's kind of the direction that we've gone in with it. But there's no wrong way to play it. Let us know in the comments down below what other cards you would add into the deck. Massive thank you to everybody for watching, and we will see you next week. Bye. Or next time. Bye.